Located about a dozen miles southeast of Hurricane, the town of Apple Valley, Utah, became its own incorporated township in 2004. Comprised of around 900 people, Apple Valley is a rural bedroom and farming community with only one convenience store and gas station. It doesn't even have its own zip code or post office. However, new growth in the area is causing concern for infrastructure needs beyond its capacity. Mainly its aging water system.
We have 3 water systems. You can kind of see them up on the wall right here. We have the Canyon Springs, which only services 14 people. Then we have the 2 major systems, which is Cedar Point and what we call Apple Valley proper, which is about 50-50 Cedar Point and Apple Valley proper. The Cedar Point system it's been, since it's started, they've had brown water. It smells like sulfur. It's been horrible. And I promised that I could get this fixed. I didn't know how, but I promised that I would get it fixed.
Apple Valley's newest mayor, Mike Farrar, who moved here from California 3 years ago, has been working with the state, county, and even at the federal level to try and solve issues around the need for safe drinking water, especially on the southern edge of the township. Last year at Cedar Point, residents were forced to get their potable water from water trucks due to problems with the wells on that end of town.
Right about the time I was elected, but before I took office, the state came in and we had tested, and we're 50% over the legal limit for radium, turbidity, and manganese. And we tested, it was all 3 of our wells over there, and we didn't have enough water to get us through the summer. We only had 2 wells that were approved. A 3rd well wasn't approved.
Unfortunately, the problem isn't going away. So Ferrar and his council members are working on funding to build a 5.5-mile-long pipeline to supply ample drinking water from Apple Valley proper wells to the town's outer limits.
We need to get a pipeline. We have engineering studies that's from 5 years ago that say we need a pipeline. Nobody's ever done it. These wells are bad, and we need about 5.5-mile pipeline to connect our Apple Valley and our Cedar Point systems and run off of these Apple Valley wells that produce great water.
The cost of the new pipeline, however, is out of reach for the township, which already owes over $4 million.
We're $4.5 million in debt. I just raised our water rates 50%. The residents, of course, were not happy. Very understanding. My residents took it very well. I think they know that I'm doing what's best, and I showed everyone.
And according to Big Plains Water, these water tanks will soon have to be replaced.
As I told you earlier, we're $4.5 million in debt, and now I have tanks up there that are 20 years old that my water operator is telling me they probably won't make it 2 more years. So we have a leak in one of them. We are going to have to put about 10 grand into them and put a bladder in it and just get us through the next 2 years until I can work with the Oculta Roca and these other developers into putting in a 1 million-gallon tank for us, and then we will get rid of those 2 old, outdated tanks.
So Mayor Ferrar reached out to the state and the county for emergency funding, which would come from the federal government.
They gave us $3.4 million for this pipeline, which was huge for us, very, very big. And Zach with the Conservancy was there, and he has agreed to head the project.
The key issue here is those environmental clearances, and the state is working with the federal government to see, since it's an emergency situation, if we can get some of those requirements waived.
The Washington County Water Conservancy District has been helping the small community along the way. The district is providing support to speed up the environmental review process.
We have to go through an environmental process, a NEPA analysis of that. And so we're trying to just do that as quickly as we can. And so we're just kind of working on that to hopefully get that section of Apple Valley clean, safe, reliable water in the future. And the nice thing is the fix that we're proposing will be a permanent fix. It just won't be a temporary fix.
The Water Conservancy District is also trying to help get the previous debt relieved in order to move forward.
We're reaching out to the individuals that actually issued the loans and see if they would be willing to waive those loans or do some type of financing that would make this process feasible. Because yeah, we're still multiple millions of dollars short, and if we can't get those loans excused or modified or something, then we will not have the funds that's needed to build that pipeline.
I have also been working with Celeste Malloy's office on the side. Her office has been amazing. She's been amazing. She was able to get us some money, about $1.25 million, into a bill. And I'm not a politician, so I don't understand everything, but it's on a bill. It's going to the House for approval sometime in July.
Ferrar is hoping they will be able to break ground soon.
But I think we're about 3 or 4 weeks from breaking ground. Hopefully we have like the pump ordered for the pump house and the transformers and some stuff like that.
In the meantime, Ferrar said the town council has put a halt on future building permits until a water study is completed on the aquifer.
So one of the things that we're doing is we're actually working with the U.S. Geological Society to go up in there and actually start mapping the groundwater up there to determine what that safe yield is. And once we know what that safe yield is, we will have that benchmark that we can start working with.
Cutting back on growth and putting it at a standstill and until we secure our, I got to know I have water for my residents before I let anybody else come into the town. So that study will give me that information.
Mayor Ferrar, who says he doesn't take a salary from the town, says he's committed to fixing the water problem and doesn't want to see the area overgrow its infrastructure.
We don't have rivers and streams feeding this aquifer. It's fed solely by groundwater. We only absorb like 10% of our groundwater out here, so we're in the desert, we're in a drought. It's a big concern out here. 99% of our residents want the same thing. I've seen many towns destroyed. I don't want to let that happen to Apple Valley. We got to do the growth slow and responsibly. We can't put the cart before the horse, and it's tough, and some of these developers are not happy with me, but I took this job to do what's best for the town, and that's what I'm committed to doing.
But for now, water consultants are hoping that with the proposed pipeline and a mapping of the aquifer, that residents here will be able to continue with their daily living needs.
This area of Apple Valley was not in a groundwater management area, but it's something that we definitely need to look at and make sure that we're not building a home today that's going to run out of water in 10 years, and that we're not stealing water from future generations. And that's difficult because you have to go in and tell people, no, you can't build that home because it won't have water in 10 years.
Water is the most important thing to me. There's nothing more important. I mean, we have streets, we have parks, we have all this other stuff, but without the water, we're done. There's no town without the water.
In the town of Apple Valley, Melissa Anderson, Community Education News.